you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today, I have a 3v3 ladder matcher on the most amazing Roxas map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the Northeast, also known as the Red Team. Ending with Team 2, also known as the Blue Team / Purple Team, at least on the scoreboard, which is still annoying for me that I can't change it, but it's Blue Team. Just I wish it was actually the color blue on that scoreboard. But anyway, we're going to start here with Team 1's Western player, and then working our way eastward, we have in orange color orange, Team 1 Scorpy. We do see he is playing as the Seraphim faction as a 1683 rated. He is the highest rated player on Team 1 as well. To his east, we have in Ruby Red another Seraphim from Team 1. It is Saints Row. He is a 1549 rated player. And last but not least for Team 1, it is Just Awesome. That's it. He's just awesome. He is a Cybern for this match as a 1367 rated player. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 2 Seraphim, 1 Cybern, no UEF, no Aeon for Team 1. Starting off with Team 2's Eastern player, then working our way westward, we have in Amethyst Purple, Sailor Moon. He's playing as a UEF for this match as a 1720 rated player. He is the highest rated player on Team 2 and in the game overall. To his west is the Aeon player here for Team 2. He is Strife. He is in Stitch Blue as a 1515 rated. And last but not least for Team 2, almost at a 1500 rating, it is Hannibalo at a 1495 rated. He is a Seraphim for this match. Again, he's in Royal Blue. So for Team 2 side of the maps, they have 1 UEF, 1 Aeon, 1 Seraphim. Team 2 likes Cybern Tech. And of course, as a reminder, Team 1 likes UEF and Aeon Tech. And for these 6 players on the map, let's take a look at how many they have to scoop up. I did see a lot of rocks running around or sitting there waiting to be scooped up. Currently sitting at 80,000 mass in reclaim. That is right, 80,000. And for 6 players divided up evenly, it's never going to be even, but close to it. It's going to be 13 plus 1,000 mass, if I did my math correctly. That is a heaping metric amount of mass on the map. And there's a lot of it dotted around essentially the cliff edges. There's a lot of 1200s, 1000, 1700s all around the map. Coincidentally, there are no mass in essentially reclaim in terms of anything in the water. So just on land, that is just a huge amount of mass to scoop up. At least for these 6 players, I mean, you know, that's 13,000 mass per player is just a lot. And in terms of the mechs count, the map does like a little bit in the mechs count. There is a nice 5-star mechs position, almost like it was a position for another player, but they maybe couldn't get. Well, this is the ladder match, so maybe it just generated a 4v4 and then just chopped it off at 3v3 kind of thing. It looks like a player would be sitting there, but with that in mind, there's really not a lot of mass on the map. So let's say there was another player. There's a couple of one-offs, you know, in the mainland mass for Team 2 and Team 1. A couple of them down the middle and one-offs on the east and the west. That's it. It is probably one of the least populated in terms of mexes on the map I have ever seen. I mean, it's very slim pickings, which means our players are going to heavily rely on that reclaim to get up to T2 mexes, get up to mass fabs, get up to even rascoms, just anything to generate huge amounts of mass, because players are going to be starved for it after the initial gorging of that reclaim. There is essentially one main lane in this map right down the middle. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of focus here. There's a little bit of water attempt here from Scorpy. He does have Seraphim Tech, so he can go for the cruiser missile, which can essentially lock out the northwestern section for Team 2 in the air department. Same thing here in the southeast for Team 2 against Team 1. Doesn't look like Sailor Moon is going for that. He's UEF, so he can also go for that strategy, but it looks like he's focused on just getting to the other side of the pond rather than sitting in the pond. We do see a couple of units have made their way to the western side here from Team 1 Scorpio, going after this facility of a couple of T1 land factories. There's a nice little THAM now off the supply line, or I should say assembly line, going after this nice little Zooey that's running around. There is a Selen back here for a little bit of some intelligence. And Scorpion is coming in to assist to deal with that facility there. And unfortunately for Hannibal, that will not last much longer. Looks like he's going to go and assist that facility, actually, but it's going to be a little bit of time before he catches up to it. We do see Team 1 has sent 2 of the 3 players on their side of the map right down the middle, so it's going to be a 2v1 in favor of Team 1 in that regard, and it's a 1v1 in the west and a 1v0 in favor of Team 2 on the eastern side. T2 air facilities coming online not only for Hannibal, but also for Strife, and going for a sensor package as well, which means he's going to get a lot of vision in the middle of the map, more utility than defense or offense. In that case, I feel like it's a little bit more of a defensive upgrade than offensive, but it is nice to have just a little blob of vision constant on essentially radar. Looks like those T2 air facilities are now done for those 2 players. Team 1, have you developed any sort of T2? Yes, T2 air is coming online here for Saints Row. That's the only player so far who's gone for T2 air. This map is definitely going to be a little bit slow-ish, especially in the mid to late, now that there's, again, 1 lane in the map. There's kind of these side lanes, but you have to go through the middle to get to them. So it's really whoever controls the middle controls the map for the most part. We do see com-on-com action has been engaged between Scorpy and Hannibal. They're both Seraphim. There are no advantages in hit point counts because they're both the same faction. And these players are going to just, again, shove one another into the water. Scorpy's like, ooh, rocks. Ooh, yummy. Grabs a couple rocks and goes, okay, fine. Just leave me alone. There are a frigate and a sub, I thought, nearby. Not really a huge amount of units in the water, and it does look like that frigate's going to go down, or at least take some damage from that comm. And if the comm does hide in the water, it puts them at a huge disadvantage, because now there's a facility coming online that can easily produce those subs. Lots of span coming out of the eastern side here from Team 2 Sailor Moon, getting into the main base of Just Awesome. He does have some forces building up over here, but he's sending some forces along this eastern edge here. A lot of strikers trying to go after some engineers that are having some issues with that cliffside there. T2 PD coming online. Very good unit. Very good PD to use in this scenario, because not only are there T1 units only, but they're coming in 1 by 1. It's really easy for that one Cerberus PD to pick all of those units off. It does look like they're trying to stack up a little bit, but still, it's not going to make as much of a dent that Sailor Moon probably hoped for, and he's stacking them more up over there. T3 air is now done for Strife, sub 10 minutes. Team 2 has T3 air, and now Scorpy has T2 air as well. I kind of like that message saying, hey, the facility is done kind of thing. I wish I could get the upgrades to show up. I still haven't figured that out. I don't know why it's not working. I'll go back to my actual, beefy machine, and those upgrades will, of course, the little text will be there, but those will be gone. Anyway, in the main base for Scorpy, and speaking of Scorpy, he defeats Hannibal. Don't really know. I mean, there's a torp bomber over there, but that's Team 2's. And it looks like he just essentially... Oh, yeah, he kind of got blitzed down by a couple of torp launchers and probably subs or something. That is very... And a gun as well, so it looks like it was kind of teetering between land and sea, and it just was a matter of time before Hannibal lost too many hit points at once. But I was talking about right before that happened that Scorpion has lost a couple of mexes due to some bombing runs, possibly either Nathas or the like. Wouldn't be Mercies, that's for sure. Possibly some Natha fighter bombers over there from Strife. Actually, not even from Strife, from Hannibal, but Hannibal got shot down, which is possible that he was focused on other things and then just died because he was distracted. But now Saints Row... Okay, hold on. Saints Row control case in the middle of the map. Is there any indication from the... No, there's not really any indication from the chat side of things. I'm actually just going to widen that just a little bit. There we go. I don't know why. Possible connection issue, especially when you see walking around in the middle of the map like this. I don't really see that being just intentional. It's mainly accidental in the sense that it just happened. Very unfortunate. It's now a 2v2 game. It was Team 1 winning ever so slightly on the calm left alive game. But stuff happens, and either connection is lost or machine gets restarted, a Windows update happens, and you can't just stop it. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me while I'm trying to do something. Very, very annoying. It's not as bad as it used to be. It was, especially with Windows 10, it was pretty bad. At least from my experience, it was like, oh, you're going to do update. See you, bye, click. And I'm like, it's not nice. In the West, again, like I said, Scorpy is shoved onto land. Luckily for him, there's not really a lot of regular bombers in the sense of T1s or T3s. Mainly, you know, of course, air to ground instead of air to sea. There are a lot of interceptors flying around. It does not bode well if Team 2 will build up a decent amount of Nathas, but it looks like happening right now. And, okay, well, and a Solace T3 Tort Bomber, not even a Strat Bomber, a Tort Bomber. Looks like maybe keeping that in reserve. Those things are very deadly with the amount of damage that they do with their Tort Bombers. But, of course, they're only effective against targets in the water or on the surface of the water in the sense of, like, hovering between, you know, the top and the bottom. Not hover tech, because that's not how torpedoes work. In the middle, not really a lot has happened. With the death of Saints Row, it looked like he was going to engage, but it does look like that Just Awesome has retreated back to his base, which is now being shot at by missiles inbound from Sailor Moon. It looks like he's going for either a PD or a mech or even the headquarters, who's upgrading to T3. Oh, that's rough. And there was another missile just to be like, you're not getting that. And it actually takes out the reclaim as well. That's really got to hurt. Looks like another missile was in there like, no, you are not getting a facility. Stop it. And that is rough for Team 1's Cyber player of Just Awesome. And there's still more missiles inbound. Mostly he's probably going to have to go back and rebuild the T2. I don't know how many T2 engineers he has running around. He has a couple, and there are some zappers now online to help defend. But that was a great snipe by Team 2 Sailor Moon. It gives him a little bit more time to beef up defenses and also get his own tech upgrades. Because it looks like he's up to T2 air and T2 land. Not going into the T3 as of yet. Are those Sparkies or are those regular? You know, those are regular engineers. Always makes me excited to see Sparkies running around. That would have been an interesting challenge to do as a UEF, now that I'm thinking about it, for the campaign side of things. It's just only using Sparkies. I don't know how well that would have went. That would have been interesting, though. That might be something that I try maybe in the Subcom Forged Alliance expansion. Maybe. We'll see. I have to probably play some. It's been a while since I played those as well. Another T2 mechs, another T2 mechs going online. And that's just going to be more mechs offline. There are engineers moving in to build more PD. Zappers have actually been built on this western side, so it saves the rest of those mechs, but still taking up, 12 mass a second, possibly more if they were ringed, which they were. So 18 mass a second is a decent amount of mass with a couple of missiles. Air grid is being expanded upon here by Team 1's Scorpy, who now has control of this middle base. And it's essentially, like I said, a 2v2 with the respective players, essentially their mirrors, roughly. The ones taken out, roughly, it's not the exact mirror, but it's essentially the western side versus the eastern side kind of thing, at least in this view. See a lot of some Team 1 Zuri just running around the middle of the map. Not really a lot of action besides this inbound force of T1s from Sailor Moon, who's pumping out missiles from his backpack. Crazy UEF strapping a missile to his back and then can strap essentially a mini nuke onto his back. Crazy, crazy. But then you have a series of commanders who can put a teleporter and a laser on board, or even a torpedo on board and just fire from their chest, which is equally as crazy. Crazy, crazy things that the comms can do. Or you can just become a tank, like the Seraphim, or a sniper, like the Aeon. They each have their own little special little niche, not niche, but special little thing that they can do. It looks like a small air fight occurs over the middle of the map here between the two air players. Nothing really of consequence. But it looks like Team 1's Scorpion has a little bit more ASFs. He does have some interceptors trailing them, but it definitely looks like Team 2 is behind. T3 land facility upgrade is now done. Finally, he's thinking. He's like, I tried to build that thing, and then I got shot down, then the wreck got shot down, and then the facility that I was trying to build on top of that wreck that was there, it got shot down. So he's finally like, I can build some bricks now. And Loyalist actually would be very beneficial, especially with the comm constantly throwing out missiles. Be very useful to redirect said missiles at their opponents. But again, now with the death of Hannibal, Team 1's player of Scorpion not pushing this western side, there's not really a lot here. There's a small fire base, nothing too big. There's still a decent amount of reclaim on the map from what I've seen. Out of the 80,000 that Team 1 and Team 2 started with, they're at about 10,000 or so. So there's still some. There's really not a lot of action going on in terms of unit encounters. I mean, it's just been a couple of bombers, that kind of thing. Speaking of bombers, not the fighter bombers, now stacking up for Scorpy as well. So we could see a sniper attempt. The only comm available for Team 1 to target is Sailor Moon, but he's now sitting underneath some shield protection as well as getting some radar. Probably should upgrade that to T2 at a minimum. And there is an Omni actually in the middle of the map anyway, so great placement there. Gets a ton of intelligence from that alone. The Omni is stretching out essentially roughly the middle of the map, so you can see a decent amount, and they have vision pretty much everywhere else. And Team 1, of course, deploying the spy plane method as well, just trying to get along the edge of that map, essentially going off map for a second and then coming back in, and then going off for a second and then coming back in. Well, they're just trying to get as much intelligence going. 19 minutes on the clock here. In terms of the income, Team 1 at almost 400, and Team 2 a little bit over that at 460. So the lead is in favor of Team 2. Team 1 has lost a couple of mexes. SMD is online to protect against some nukes. I don't see Team 2 going for that as of yet. Looks like it's more air grids and mass fabs actually to, again, scale eco. It's going to be about how fast can one team, possibly build an experimental. The game does last about 50 or so minutes, so there's plenty of time for crazy stuff to happen. Specifically like this, not the fighter bomber inbound. Looks like they're going for the Omni. Great attempt to go after the radar system here. Lots of AS subs covering this position. And looks like the fighter bombers have taken out the Omni. Nice snipe here by Team 1. It's, of course, going to leave Team 2 a little bit blind for a little bit. I don't know if it was worth it. Looks like Mex was being reclaimed and then built back up to T3. But like I said, I don't know if the Nothas were worth it. Yeah, an Omni is an Omni, but it wasn't that important. They have backup radars everywhere on that western side. Eastern side has a T2 radar, so it really, they have backups. It's not Omni in the middle, but they have something at least covering the middle at a minimum. So I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you really agree with that amount of Notha fighter bombers that engaged, because it kind of gave Team 2 a little bit leg up in the air game now at this point at 21 minutes. We do see in the east now a couple of bricks just saying, hey, this is our territory, go away, stop coming up this way. We do see that Just Awesome is in the water. Missile outbound, looks like from the comm as well. So another tactical base, a comm-based tactical missile. There it is. Being launched from that position, of course. Can't build the Nuke on board that, but again, the missile is better than nothing. There isn't that much. Oh, there's one TMD, which again, against one or two missiles isn't bad. Against more than that is not great. We have Sensor, ARAS, and T2 on Strife's comm. And then on Sailor Moon, we have Missile and T2 as well. And Team 1's player over here of Just Awesome is just Gun. And of course, Missile and Gun as well. But our players really staying nowhere near the action. Essentially, the only action we saw was just that brief encounter between Scorpion and Hannibal, and then, of course, the departure of Saints Row in the middle. 23 almost minutes on the clock here. Team 1 sitting at 570, Team 2 at 630. So they're staying roughly in the same amount of mass difference that we talked about a couple of minutes ago. So there's no pulling ahead for one team, or the lead is being thinned out. It's really staying lockstep with one another. So if the trend continues, mass won't be that much of a problem, because if you're producing 1,000 mass and your opponent is producing 1,060 mass, yeah, they're producing a little bit more mass, but the percentages and how much more mass it is gets less and less as the amounts get bigger. It's just kind of the nature of things. If I'm producing 200 and my opponent's producing 100, I mean, that's a huge amount. But if I'm producing 2,100 and he's producing 2,000, it's like, it's still a little bit. It's not as bad as that essentially 50% difference. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. Of course, if you haven't done so already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, it is Halloween when this game is coming out. And yes, this is not a Halloween-themed video. I will have a Halloween-themed video this weekend. I'm, again, still traveling. I am coming back in a couple of days. Actually, by the time of this recording, I will be back tomorrow. But it's just one of those things where I just didn't have the video on, or the replay or whatever ready. And I definitely don't want to run a Phantom game on this map or on this machine. No. I'll go back to home and record that Phantom game there, which is probably what I'll do. I feel like that's kind of a nice Halloween game to do. They're not recorded or they're not played as much. It's nice a little bit on theme kind of thing. But anyway, trick or treat, everyone. Hopefully everybody had fun dressing up today. We'll have fun dressing up today. There we go. Trying to speak in the past as the present. Sometimes it's very weird when I think about it. We still see this huge column of units inbound from Scoreboard. He's just sending, again, just a couple of factories, building a couple of Zooey, just sending them in. There are some T2 gunships online here for Strife. He's sending him. He did take out a T2 mechs, though, so that is a decent chunk of mass that Team 2 has lost. And it looks like, look at the lead. Team 1 has jumped significantly. It went from being a 60 or something deficit to being a 60 to 70 lead. So that's 130 plus mass that Team 1 has jumped. Makes me think they're possibly under power issues or something, or they just got a lot of upgrades done at the same time. Lots of gunships being like, okay, we're done with this. We've let you had your fun in the sun, or in this case, the desert, which is probably just baking all of these units. Couple of bombers stacking up T2 and T3 torp bombers. And look at these things. Like, these things are massive. Look how big these T3 torp bombers are. I mean, obviously they're about the size of a drop bomber, but still, I mean, that's a massive ship. And then you look at the Awasa and you're like, that's tiny compared to that thing. Lots of ASFs, and of course Natha's stacking up over here. It looks like there's going to be another sniper attempt, but again, even the options for Team 1 have not changed because Strife is still in the water, and now Team 2 Sailor Moon has now moved back here, is underneath shield cover, sitting next to an SMD, which makes me think that maybe somebody on Team 1 is building their own nuke, but I don't see that. Crab started here in the east for Just Awesome. And another SMD. So players, again, being very, not standoffish, but being very, I don't say quiet. It's not the word that I want to use. Just not as aggressive as other games, which is fine to have a nice little change of pace. And, of course, Air Grid is being expanded upon. And Donut. So that is the first thing that I see that could be a problem for Team 1. Of course, the ASFs count. Looks like it might actually start favoring Team 1, so maybe not as bad. It is sitting at 85 ASF, not 65 ASF. And Strife is sitting at... Okay, never mind, 141. So he's fine in terms of the air dominance situation, but that donut could easily get wiped out of the sky by all those ASF for Team 1. It just depends on how well the donut is used. If he can get it to the main base and knock out the air grid, that will be worth the mass cost. Especially because the time it'll take to rebuild, the time it'll take to rebuild the ASFs, that sort of thing. And he'll win air because of that. It would be devastating to have it land over here or actually just be destroyed in the main base of Team 2 Strife. That would be worse. More spy planes inbound here now from Team 1's Eastern player of Just Awesome. He has T3 air online and getting a little bit of a grid in terms of the land facilities, not necessarily of the air side of things. Crab is being built here for him as well, and getting his SMD shielded up. I do like that. I wish it was a little bit closer to the main base. But, I mean, it's at least shielded, which is good. He does have a shield over the Omni as well. It looks like Team 2 has moved their Omni a little bit back. Not that far forward. Probably should put another shield around it just to protect it against some Nathas. But, again, it's not a terrible thing to lose. It's not great to lose, but it's not terrible. A couple of missiles, though, inbound from this battery from Strife. Looks like they're going after some mexes or even the the SMD. Some missiles are being shot down. The shield will hold. Looks like there's enough TMD to hold off a barrage or two. But with these missiles coming in one by one, it's going to make it very easy for Team 1 to defend, as well as more TMD coming up as well. Missiles, it looks like it's not going to be one of those avenues that Team 2 can go down. They went with it a little bit early with Sailor Moon, of course. He built TMD, and then Scorpy built TMD, and so it's kind of just been one of these null and void strategies that they can work. It just depends. I think the only way it would work is if somebody teleported behind enemy lines and fired a missile. I mean, they can telebility. Team 2 can do that. It is dangerous to do that, but they can do it. Nano repair started here for Scorpy's commander, just making sure he doesn't get blitzed down by any sort of snipe attempt and getting PD to protect himself. But he looks like he's going to hold up there, which isn't a terrible place to be. He's not next to a pigeon, which is really good, and he's underneath a shield that is a T3 as well, so good to see that extra protection around him. Let's see the income between Team 1 and Team 2. 1.1 versus 900, so Team 1 is starting to pull away decently. I'd say probably 1.05, so 150, let's say, mass ahead for Team 1. That is starting to be a chonky amount of mass. And in the south, that donut has... Wait, did it actually finish? Or... Oh, no, it's right there. Donut is inbound. Lots of gunships there. Looks like might be a huge attack brewing. Missiles outbound to the north, though, and there is only one TMD placed. And I was going to say, will that transport actually block the shots? Oh, and the missile almost reaches to those mass fabs. It looks like there's going to be some engineers building some TMD in the future. And there's actually more TMD lining that cliff edge, making sure that there are nothing getting past them. There is a group of bricks on board that transport. Like I said, it would have been very funny had the missiles hit the transport. But the donut is in the middle of the map, and the ASFs are going to go for it. Team 2's ASFs are nowhere nearby. Oh, that is so devastating. It would have been a nice bait attempt by Team 2, but I think he wasn't really ready for it, and Team 1 took the opportunity. They are starting to snip at the back of those ASFs, but it's mainly the Nathas and the Interceptors that they're taking out. It looks like the main fight will occur. There is some AA nearby. There's not a terrible amount for Team 1. I mean, but again, it's something better than nothing. And a better engagement here for Team 1. Scorpy coming in, and it's all ASFs he's taken out. But it's pretty much, I think, comparable to what he lost earlier. Again, the numbers in terms of advantages hasn't really changed, except for the donut, which is, again, in Team 2's territory. There's already an engineer from Sailor Moon coming to scoop it up, but just the loss of the time and the mass and the energy you don't get back from the wreck. It's just, it's not great. But had he taken out all those ASFs, it would have been very worth it in that regard. Especially with all these gunships that could have easily come in and just wiped something out. But we see that Team 1 is turning up quite nicely here, specifically Strife. And Just Awesome is doing decent as well with that. It looks like he's going to go for long-range tech. Either that's a YOLO, an artillery, a nuke. Those are his three options. Yeah, nuke, artillery, or game ender. It looks like he's going down. It's still air grid. That's an easily explosive line of E-storages up there. I just don't see any attempt for him to go for anything long range as of yet. It's still 33 minutes, but still players should be thinking about how to end the game, not only how to survive it. Team 2 leading in the reclaim counts. Obviously, the donut helps with that. But even without that, Team 2 is leading that realm of things. Total mass accrued. Team 2 is slightly ahead, and that's actually slightly ahead because of the reclaim. Besides that, Team 1 is still, staying roughly in step with them. And now the mass income is slowly starting to fade in terms of the lead. So now it's essentially 1.15 versus 1.1 and 1.05, that kind of thing. Another donut is going to be built with a Colossus as well. We did see that crab was being built a long time ago, and it looks like it just finished a couple of moments ago, so it looks like it's going to go to the middle of the map. But again, not really a lot of land. You would expect with one lane, main lane of land engagement, you would see a lot more, but both of these teams are just, yeah, it's there. I'm not going to worry about it, but it's there. And it's more of a defensive, essentially waiting for the opposing team to strike, because it could be that if, let's say, Team 1 attacks Team 2, Team 2 wins because all that mass came to them. Even if they take some losses, all that mass came to them. Vice versa, of course, for Team 1 versus Team 2 in that regard. There are some missiles going after some AA, though, and it might be that Team 2 is going to open a hole with some either missiles to get the ASF or the gunships in, or even the donut in. There is still AA dotted all around the map here for Scorpy. He's sitting at 38 of them. He's actually getting into his teammates Just Awesome's position as well, just trying to cover the best he can. That's definitely not a good placement for that AA, specifically because it's in the middle of that air grid. There's one right there as well. Looks like you probably should control K at least a couple of those so he can put P-gens down, but I'm not in the game or his teammate, so there it is. Oh, it's going to happen. ASF fight happens in the middle of the map here between these two air forces, and more air forces inbound from Strife, and it's going to be a huge engagement. That one turn was devastating. It's not, I should say it's not that devastating, but that turn was not great as well. More ASFs inbound from Just Awesome as well to just try to say, go away. But that was not a great engagement here for Team 1 Scorpy. So even if he was in the lead, not doing great now. Another experimental is built. Looks like it was built by Team 2. Artillery has been started by Team 2's player of Sailor Moon. Oh, that's the Colossus that he built. Okay, so it wasn't another donut. But like I said, that the air situation is kind of just sitting there, and now another artillery piece is coming online here, this time on Team 2. Where is it? Oh, there it is down here in the corner. That is definitely a good placement because it's on the edge, so it's very hard to target. And that could be a thing of rain. Well, I can't see the top of the map, so it's actually not that out of the realm of possibility of Team 2 being able to target that. But now we see some cruisers coming online, and it looks like the missiles are being denied quite heavily by those cruisers, and some TMD nearby as well. So not a good day in that regard for that missile attempt. Couple of Fat Boys online will just shoo that crab away. So Team 2 Sailor Moon was building those up in the meantime. And that's probably one of the reasons he wasn't engaging that much with land, because he's like, I'll just wait for my Fat Boys to be done and then go from there. Looks like there was some units moving into the eastern side here from that line of beach. And there is some PD in the mix. There are some bricks as well. Percy's trying to get to the P-gens. Of course, that is the more vital target, the explosive ones. Taking out a T2 at this stage isn't really that worth it, but at least they'll get a little bit of AoE on that volatile explosion. The T3 ones are definitely the main target. They do target that one as I speak. And will they get the shots off for the kill? They will get a P-gen. They'll knock out a couple of facilities. Nothing too dangerous for Team 1 to lose. But hey, P-gen is P-gen is P-gen kind of thing. Artillery actually now coming in from Team 1. So now we have counter artillery. And it's just an artillery war here between these two teams at this point. Which sometimes isn't entertaining, but sometimes is. It just depends on the other things going on in the map. It is a T3 Seraphim artillery piece with another one coming on the way here shortly for Scorpy versus a Duke that is not done yet. I forgot Team 2 didn't finish their artillery pieces, so that's not great for Team 2, but there are two building roughly at the same time. That shield going down, ooh, that is not great. It is not super explosive, but it's enough to be worrisome, especially if it strikes those P-gens. This one right here, ooh. Shield comes online, covers a little bit more of the area again. So it looks like it's going to be fine for now. It's just not great looking here for Team 2. But that artillery piece over to the west is almost done. The Duke over here is almost done. So 2 will come online roughly at the same time. Fat Boys are pushing down the middle with some pressure from the cruisers to the west. And they're eating up essentially the APM of Sailor Moon. He's trying to send in his Perseus and has to pull him back. The Crab is getting awfully close to the range of these Fat Boys. Fat Boys have actually lost. This one lost its shield. This one lost its shield. Going to get it back on here in a second. Crab, unfortunately, is barely in range of those Fat Boys and is definitely wishing it was not. And I don't think Team... Oh, I think Team 1 has spotted the artillery piece from Team 2. I think that's been the case. Oh, yeah, they know about that one. And they know about this one who's now online. So the Duke came first. And then the Emissary. So it is 2v1. Soon to be... Actually, excuse me, 2v2. So it is a tied game in the artillery game. And I don't see any other... No, that's a stealth field. I don't see any bigger ticket items here for Team 1's Eastern play. Oh, well, okay, it looks like... Scratch that. He is building in a disruptor as we speak. He's having some Rasp Boys help him with that. Looks like the missiles attacking a nice little Cougar over there, who is actually at 2-star veterancy, so he's repping up a little bit of hit points. Not a lot, but, you know, again, something's better than nothing. Looks like the 2 artillery pieces from Scorpio are targeting the Duke. And definitely more shields, as I say, with any artillery, any sort, whatever the case may be. I don't care what it is. You could have 500 shields surrounding a target, and I will say you need more shields. And you can put shields, under shields, under shields, under shields kind of thing, especially if you're UEF with those bubble shield. They are very annoying to deal with, I will admit, those SACUs. And then you can get some parashields, and then you can get your comm shield and that sort of thing. But it does look like more shields coming online all the time. Love to see that. Maybe he'll go for a 3rd artillery piece. Maybe he'll build it somewhere else if he does go for another one. But I kind of saw the writing on the wall. That's why I made a comment of Team 1 being very standoffish. Team 2 essentially being a little bit less so, but pretty close to that as well. Just more shields. That P-Gen's a little bit dangerous. Ooh, especially with it landing one after the other. T3 air facility will most likely go down. That shield's going to pop right back online. But it just definitely needs some more shielding, especially on this northeastern side as well. Especially because that T3 air facility is right there. That headquarters is not a great placement there. But those look like a nice little MatsFab little template there. In the west, looks like more shielding being built to protect all of the air grid. And then more shielding as well to protect that Emissary. The Emissary is not being focused down, surprisingly enough. It is just the Duke that is receiving all the concentrated fire. Those cruisers able to go after the old position that the Omni was sitting in. Just barely. Man, that is a wide range for that. Yeah, just barely. And they're not actually able to target the Omni on that western side too. But that is... I know it's not a 20 by 20, but it seems a little bit longer than I thought it was. Anyway. Does look like another artillery piece is being built. Of course, there is a downside to building an entire new facility, you know, with the P-Gens and the shields and the whatnot, because you have to build all the P-Gens and all the shields again, pretty much. If you string them together like what Scorpio has done, you essentially cut out the cost of 2 P-Gens plus maybe a shield or 2 that overlap. Of course, you never have too many shields, but if you just want the bare minimum, it cuts down the cost a little bit. The Duke is holding. The shields are popping on and off. I'm surprised they're not being assisted. Maybe just this main one right here. Also surprised that Scorpio hasn't targeted anything else. And that Disruptor is now online, so Team 1 has 3 artillery pieces online. And it is frankly turning into an artillery war. In a ladder match, it does happen. It sometimes does and sometimes doesn't. I think it doesn't happen as much as it does in, let's say, in custom games or especially in, you know, dual gap and those kind of matches. All that artillery coming into that one position. That other Emissary needs to come online for Strife, or it is not a good day for Team 2. And more shields are actually being built all the time as well. You don't stop building shields. Love to see that from Sailor Moon. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he is, to be fair, a 1700, so he's been around the block at least a few more times than I have at a minimum. And lots of ASF are just in guard position. Looks like the artillery from Team 2 is not targeting the artillery from Team 1. It's going after the air grid, which is a very sensible thing to do because it's going to take out the P-Gens, therefore strip the shields away. Therefore, no power equals no shields. No shield equals no protection. No protection equals easy targets. But, of course, Just Awesome also has his own power reserves where he's currently sitting at almost 20. So it's going to be about, what is that, 8? I'd say a good 17 or 18 P-gens that need to come offline for it to really make a dent. And during that point, Scorpy's going to be building more. Same with Just Awesome. So it's kind of just this never-ending war. And it does look like the artillery has broken through the main shielding surrounding the headquarters, at least the air facility. And the shield comes online and immediately offline. Ooh, that one pops online at a good moment. The Duke has taken some damage. That P-gen is vulnerable. Oh, shot comes in, takes out the P-gen. One more, and that artillery piece is dead on land. Oh, actually, no. Survives one more hit. If that P-gen went down, it definitely would have been the end of that thing. But with these 3 artillery pieces raining shots in all the time, it is a losing fight here. Another emissary, like I said, almost coming online. In terms of the mass game, in terms of income, both teams at 1.1. Something's got to break. Something's got to change for Team 2. And that's air grid not looking good, I will admit. Long line of P-gens, no, semi-long line of P-gens. That's also not great to group them together like that. It's worse for cascading, essentially, because they're right next to one another. There's not a lot of shields. We do see a lot of assisting going on for this main shield here. And if that Duke does go down, which it looks like it's going to go down right now, good thing I caught it. Team 2 is now down an artillery piece. It is now a 1v... Oh, no. It's a 2v3 once again. But I feel like Team 2 is just now on the back foot with that artillery piece down. We see a Colossus tries to get out of the water, but is spotted by Team 1. They go, you got to say the magic word. ASF fight, huge ASF. This is going to be the fight. Team 1 has a lot of ASFs, not only, of course, with Scorpies, but they are, of course, added a little bit more by Just Awesome's numbers. That is a huge amount. But that's a good turn here from, not from Sailor Moon, from Strife. I feel like Strife is still going to lose that fight, though. 140. I'm going to go with the main force for Scorpy. It's dead even, roughly. But with the additional forces from Team 1's Just Awesome, I think Team 1's going to win the air fight. Not with those engagements, though. Nice. Getting in behind those ASFs takes out a chunk of them. Oh, man, the turns, like, it is an art to get those precise turns the way you want them. Looks like the facility for Sailor Moon is now being targeted over there. He's not even there. He has his own Omni in that position. Looks like the 2 Seraphim artillery pieces are now going after this grid over here. Of course, the 2 emissaries are still online. P-gens have taken a hit. Looks like a 3rd artillery piece is coming online here shortly. With the 3rd one, that might be enough. Why? Don't know why that's up there, but okay. That is a nice shielded grid for that 1 artillery piece. Again, would like to see more, but doing pretty good. Looks like they're going to target this grid now. Actually, no, they're going to go after the SMD, surprisingly enough. Maybe that was just a wide shot from that artillery piece, but the air grid for Team 2 Strife is not looking good. He still has his headquarters, but it's not looking good in that department. Artillery here says Scorpy. He says go after the air grid. Then they'll probably come in with the Air Force and win the game that way. And it looks like the SMD is the one being targeted. I don't know if they're trying to trick Team 1 into trying to build more SMDs or something. I don't see a nuke anywhere that I'm aware of. Lots of torp bombers. I don't know why. No one's in the water. So I don't know why that would be that important to go for torp bombers. Maybe they think somebody's hiding. Oh, maybe they think they can get Just Awesome. Maybe. That's a lot of forces to chew through, though. And the shield is just on and off, on and off, on and off. Just Awesome builds another experimental, most likely another land unit. Crab. Actually, no, excuse me. It is a bug. Very interestingly enough, it is a bug. And that's a brick. Not going to feel good after running into that little AoE nonsense. But this air grid is not looking good. It's barely staying online. But again, 3 artillery pieces, most likely 4 by the time that I go back to and look at it. Yep, it's almost 4. So with that 4th one online, unless Team 2 gets a lot more shielding on very quickly, or they take out a huge target being one of those groups of artillery. It's not Not looking good for Team 2 if you're rooting for Team 2 this game. Now, sometimes Team 1 wins and sometimes Team 2 wins. It's just kind of the nature of things. Looks like the emissaries retasked onto the Seraphim Tech artillery pieces, but I think it just comes down to maybe the target priorities are just varying too much. And Team 1 is just, we'll target this, and then we'll kill it. We'll target this, and then we'll kill it. And we'll target this, then we'll kill it. They don't go off of the target until they destroy it, which can be something that your opponent exploits. However, sometimes it does work. So it's one of those it just depends on what your opponent is targeting on your side of things. If it's like this in artillery war, why is there just a random? Why? Looks like they're just deciding to build it on this one. Third artillery coming online once again here for Team 2. And at this point, can Strife keep Team 1's artillery at bay to allow that third one to come online? But like I said, at this point, Team 1 now has 4 of them online. And that one, of course, is the most vulnerable, not being in the middle of the shield grid. This main shield is being assisted as much as possible. If the P-Gen will go down, if the P-Gens do go down, it will overwhelm that shield and take it offline. But that is going to be the main thing. T3 Naval Headquarters is now done. I don't know why that's a thing for Scorpy, but he just wanted to build it because why not at this point? Airfight happens over the top of the pair of artillery pieces here for Strife. And now here comes that Soul Ripper. AA being built. And it's not underneath the shielding. It's too tall. And the Pigeons, of course, are going to be targeted. The engineers are going to be targeted. Shield pops back online. AA trying to be built as fast as possible. There's really nothing inbound. More engineers coming in to assist. Pigeon is going to go down. Gets reclaimed at the last moment. And that's going to prevent its volatile explosion. There goes that one. And that emissary is going to go down. And that emissary is going to go down. And that's probably going to be the game right there. Once that third one goes down, that is game over for Team 2. And that grid is also not doing well. And that Soul Ripper, again, there's really nothing that Team 2 can do about it at this point unless they want to surrender or they have a magic weapon somewhere. Sailor Moon was building something over here, but he's not. And that shield, it's barely holding together, but looks like that P-Gen does sit a little bit exposed. There goes that P-Gen, not P-Gen, that shield exposing that. Now here comes the artillery pieces raining in. Almost actually hit that Soul Ripper. That would have been a little annoying. That one gets reclaimed. Oh, that's a couple more shields offline. AA trying to be built, but it just doesn't really matter. There goes the emissary, the last one here for Team 2, and there is the recall. They didn't want to sit through the rest of the game. I don't blame them. 50 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, and Team 1 wins the game. MVP for me goes to Scorpy. He got the one and only kill of the game. And then, of course, unfortunately, his teammate departed. Probably most likely just due to the fact that he had a connection issue, which is usually the case with that kind of scenario. But the artillery pieces were the way to go. There was definitely possibly a different attempt starting to brew here for Just Awesome, going for these crabs. Sailor Moon built a little bit of a counter to that with some Fat Boys, but it didn't really matter. The person who built the artillery first doesn't always win, but he built more and more and more faster than his opponent, and that's really what just collapsed Team 2. Of course, the bug was very useful and made the game essentially go by a little bit faster, but at this point, if you take the bug out of this scenario, the amount of artillery that was already online, it was only a matter of time before it chewed through everything else. So, yeah, it was nice to, especially for Team 1 to just finish the match over and, confirm the win. But it would have not changed the outcome had they not built the bug. So, let me know in the comments what you thought about the match, of course. If you haven't done so already, please do those wonderful YouTube things that YouTube loves to see. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, your family, your pets, your grandma, somebody. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one.